Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Are we all here and awake? Super. For a minute, I was like really worried because I thought my entire panel is scared of the questions I'm going to ask and disappeared, but eventually they all showed up, so I'm very glad. Thank you so much for the panel members. I think, the topic today is about the GCCs. We have been in existence for almost over 3 decades, right? It is went from being the pure labor arbitrage, cost arbitrage as a starting point, went to become value added. And I think morning session, Lalit predicted that the next CEOs of the global companies would be out of GCCs in India, right? So it's been a long journey over the 3 decades of journey. But the point here is, what is next for GCCs? What does the future hold for GCCs? And what does the future fit GCCs means? That is the kind of the topic for us today. So what we are saying is, some of the recent studies said when we looked at asked the headquarters, why do you have the GCC, or what does the GCC bring to you? What is the primary benefit? 45% of them said value, 33% said talent, and 22% said innovation. Nobody is saying cost anymore, so I'm very, very glad about it. So undoubtedly, GCCs have become the nerve center, assuming the strategic transformational roles for the headquarters. So based on that, there is a paradigm shift. So let's ask few questions to the panelists in terms of specifically on the innovation side, because the data shows that GCC hiring has gone up by 46% in the Q1. Okay, so on the innovation side, what's been your experience on the innovation journey, and are you leveraging the partner ecosystems? How are you going? How are you doing? Doing things together with academia. So let me ask Sanjeev and Priti if you can answer this question, please.
Okay, ladies first. So basically, I'm going to focus on Gen AI because the topic of this session is Gen AI. So I think the last 14 months for IBM have been very intense. Because when Gen AI rocked us all, we had to look at it from 2 prisms. One is what can IBM do for itself, and one is what we will do for the industry. So in terms of how we help clients and GCCs in their innovation journey, there are 3-4 very typical ways in which we can help. One, we help you with use case finalization. So we make it efficient for you, right? Instead of going through a discovery path. Then the model complexity, every day there is a new model that's coming up. How do we help you quickly decide, fine-tune the model scale, right? The third and most important thing, which many of us have talked about, is ROI. And increasingly, as we work with our own models as well as models from AWS, Microsoft, etc., we're coming up with deep insights in terms of what really works for you, what you should look, and maybe we'll even come out with a playbook, right? And there are enough and more examples coming there. And the final thing is around, because of the governance issues that hit the market, IBM came up with a product on Watson governance, but there are lots of other products. But I think the point I'm making is that this is the way we are helping our clients, scale their innovation journey. And you won't believe we must have done about 1,000 briefings in the last 1 year helping clients navigate through this. Now, the way we are working in our own ecosystem is that, we keep saying that IBM is a company for enterprises. For everything else, you can go to Google. So when we have to help you as an enterprise, we have to be very careful about what we do. So we had to build an ecosystem of our own talent. Then we've actually signed, to your point, in terms of industry partnerships, about 18 MOUs with MeetY, with the Gift City, with the National AI Strategy. We've done the Airavat Cloud for evangelizing that. And most importantly, in our own infrastructure, we had to create digital infrastructure to really take this avalanche of Gen AI. So we set up our digital labs. We have industry labs which help us, co-create use cases with our clients. We have the Watson labs where we try out LLMs, our own and industry LLMs. And then what we are doing with our ecosystem of partners like SAP, Salesforce, and Microsoft is we've set up co-pilot labs with them. With SAP, we are infusing AI into the product so that you get AI at scale from the COTS product itself. And then what are we doing internally? We are changing our HR and making it the most touchless HR. So I keep joking that when I joined IBM, I did not meet a single HR person. I've still not met one after 2.5 years. So
I think, Sanjeev, you should pick it up from there and talk about the internal point of view, because we hear from a partner perspective. So let's hear the corporate perspective.
No, thank you. So let me answer the first question on innovation. So India is the talent hub and will be the talent hub, and 60% of global talent sits in India, especially in the capability centers. We don't call it GCC, we call them capability centers. And the reason I say that, because last 3 avatars of me have been very different. I was with a retail organization, then I was with an agriculture company, and now and with a big 4 consulting firm before taking a role with Adani, which is multi-industry role. So there was a challenge given to us that, are you going to support 28 countries with 29 different languages? And can you process the financial data? Nobody will speak to you in English. And I was working with KSV, I was telling the KSV, said, yeah, we can build that capability. So first, we should have the will. Secondly, you have the technology and you have the partner ecosystem to build that. So one, that we did. Secondly, in a retail store like Metro, which is a big store, and there were a lot in Bangalore, we did the store design. So something you can invent. It's just about your willingness, and you're building that capability in the ecosystem. With that agriculture company it's the largest pesticide makers. We did an app to reach out 47 million growers in India, which is a large number, because we realized that 55% of them carry smartphones. And how do you educate them about what to use and when to sow the seed, which pesticide to use and all that? We created an app called Atmantan app, which was done in a digital lab in hours. And then the sensors which are deployed in the soil, the data would come and you will give that data, which will feed into the R&D and which will feed into development of that product. So India is the innovation hub, and that's how it is going to be. With my Big Four experience, we created a cyber intelligence center which supported Globe. So we were doing biggest banks in India, the central bank in India, where we protect around 300,000 attacks every 1 hour on cyber attacks on various banks. So you can build that ecosystem. For the forensic lab was the state of the art, where we're doing multiple things we can do. So I think use your talent, use the partner ecosystem, bring on that. And while I have taken the role in Adani in a few months back, we are working with a partner, we are working with multi-partners, because what you can't build in, you can buy and you can bring in. And that's what my feeling is, and that's what we are doing. So there are a lot of startups, a lot of ecosystems. We have tied up with this. We have a digital team inside Adani. So I think a lot of partner ecosystem will help us get something which you can't build in. And that's an easy way to start.
So I think while we are on the topic of innovation, there's always a question in terms of open innovation versus, because of the talent in the GCCs, the internal innovation part of it. So what's your opinion and what are you doing? Maybe George and Yadhu, if you can address that and just give some insights.
Sure. So Fidelity is a specialty insurance in the financial space, but at the same time, it's something that takes a significant amount of time for us to provide the requisite training to get people up to speed. It's not something that you can just go to market and hire a whole bunch of people with the right skill set. So what we saw, especially between the question between, say, external innovation or internal innovation, where we felt that when we were doing a lot of the domain-specific innovation, we had to do it internally. Because otherwise, the amount of time that it took for us to, say, communicate to an external party, bring them up to speed was extensive. So we looked at a lot of the domain-specific innovation internally. But at the same time, if you're looking for speed, if you're looking for, say, a new technology that has just come in and for you to do a quick test, you want to basically work with an external party, because that's when you get to even test the waters out to see what the results are. So largely the way that I define the two of them is, one is for speed, the other one is for domain.
Very nice.
Yeah. Perfect. I'll just add on to what he said. I think both of them need to be used in balance, the open innovation and the internal innovation. And there are situations that necessitate them. Like, as an example, like he said, internal innovation is where you have strict governance and regulatory requirements, and especially in the healthcare industry where I work in. I think there you have to do it in-house. But again, when you do open innovation, you're leveraging the ecosystem. You're not reinventing the wheel. You're also, partnering with startups and other partners. But you're also helping, when you engage campuses, educational institutions, you're actually helping the industry academia connect, and you're actually building that grassroots, innovation concept. So I think both of them need to be used in balance and as the situation demands.
Perfect. I think we've heard a lot about domain and how important domain is and the need for the speed, if I can say so. I know Priti started the conversation with Gen AI as an important aspect. But while 75% of the CIOs believe that Gen AI is going to be one of the top 3 priorities, one of the interesting trends, especially in India, is what we are seeing is, if you look at the startup ecosystem, right, more than 10-15% of the startup ecosystem founders have some kind of roots in GCC world, and they're all stemming out of the GCCs. I think that's a interesting aspect for us to do. I'll come to KSV and ask KSV, how do you see it from the technology, startup, and the totality? We've heard the GCC perspective, but as an industry advisor, how do you see all these things coming together, KSV?
It's while the GCC leaders are coming out to create an tech startup ecosystem, the good news. But the reverse is not a good news. The startups have burned their fingers working with the GCCs to create a model, right? So GCCs leaders in true sense do not have enough powers to say yes, but they can engage with them to get a lot of POCs done. To the extent there is a disconnect between what startups want and the GCC leaders provide is one reality. We live with that. But having said that, there are examples that many people sitting in this room would prove contrary to the fact what I'm saying. The tech ecosystem, I incubated the ecosystem while I was at tech startup ecosystem while I was at NASCOM, right? 14 years back, we knew nothing. We just created a program called a Corporate Accelerator Program for GCCs to start leveraging the startup ecosystem in the country. That time there was nothing called AI, nothing called Gen AI. It got consumed. Whatever startups we produce got consumed by GCC. But the point today is, do we really have the real use case to solve, right? Are the use cases what the GCC want to solve, capabilities exist in the startup, but is there a spirit of true cooperation? Even assuming you get them, most of the GCCs are governed by their corporate enterprise rules, right? You like the product, technically you clear the product, you let them loose in front of the purchase executive or corporate enterprise. That flow gives them a 40-page patent document. That fellow gives 30 pages indemnity document. This fellow doesn't want to sign. The net reason is there is a need for ecosystem to come together. Perhaps the startups to get realistic that POC they can do well. Beyond POC, how do I scale is a challenge the startups has to agree. And the GCs should realize the startups are not enterprises. They have the limitation, make contract simple. If they have a real budget, please make use of startups to do POC. Don't waste time of startups.
Perfect. I think I'll just shift gears a little and move on to, especially when we're talking about the next gen GCCs, right? Managing stakeholders in this complex environment is quite hard enough, and building transformational capabilities and focusing on a little bit in terms of, as a GCC leaders, like today in my current role, I look at myself not just a GCC leader, but also an advisor to the board, also giving counsel for various transformation initiatives in the organization. That is one of the primary things. And I want to ask a few questions around the whole C-suite advocacy and what are you doing around that. So if I can just say, is the global key leadership is a key paradigm shift in order to create the next gen GCC, and then what's the perspective of your global leadership from Indian GCC? Sanjeev, maybe we can start with you.
So I have a very different problem. I'm part of the domestic business of Adani Group. The challenge is we are trying to, I am working with 23 different CEOs in the Apex. I am spending 2 to 3 hours every day with Gautam Adani, along with all the CEOs. So it's a different problem. It's a management of change.
But it is still a C-suite advocacy, isn't it?
Yes, it is, because
It's an Indian multinational.
it's a multinational. We have power, port, cement, transmission, and everything else. So it's a one of its kind, because the kind of scale we are looking at, the kind of capabilities we are looking is very different. And of course, we are doing POCs. My leaders are here. We are doing POCs in the larger organizations which has a footprint. And we are completely transforming. We are not even saying that what can be done in GCC, what cannot be done in GCC. So it's a very paradigm shift. We have designed a model which is unheard of, which I have never heard in last my 30 years. So just to give an example, that in a function like finance and HR, we may end up just having 10% people in the business facing and 90% in the GCC, and what we have not done, including front-end treasury, whatever we are thinking of. So we are building an ecosystem. It's a C-suite advocacy. We have to spend a lot of time convincing this. But the belief only comes when you are able to deliver. You have it, and on the top of it is the technology which will come in. Unless you bring in technology, the business case doesn't fit in, especially in India. So I think you need to create a value, as you said, rightly said in the beginning. What is the value? How you will change the business, and how will you make the enterprise digital? I think that's the key. And we are going to play a role, not only bringing services or consolidating it, giving the assurance, giving the quality, and making the enterprise digital and the functions digital. And the most important part which I have sold and I am selling is creating a very different experience for stakeholders and employees. So if you look at 46,000 employees, what experience they will have by working with us, I think that's one which I am working on.
KSV, do you want to add anything?
Yeah. You know, first give credit. All the GC leaders here, big round of applause to you. Because the last 20-25 years, all of you have moved up on the value chain to earn huge trust with parent enterprises. They trust you more. But the sad part is, we still believe in, I don't think we have yet conquered. While we are all strong technologists, we don't fully understand the domain. The moment you get understanding of domain, why does a customer behave like this? Why does a customer buy like this, right? Then your ability to influence with confidence is very high. Our ability to influence is there, but our tentativeness gets caught in the 90th second. He's read it thrice, 4 times his practices, 5th time is doing it in front of me. If we can get the domain and strong strength and ability to influence is there, traditionally as a hierarchy, we are an hierarchical system. We always trust and respect elders are right, seniors are right, not to be questioned, etc. It will take perhaps one more generation. I don't take longer time. In the last 20 years has changed. In 10 years' time, with domain, our ability to influence will all drastically change. Next generation GCCs, Lalitha, I don't think it is going to be built on next level of global leadership from India. That's a self-fulfilling prophecy we have. More and more GCC leaders we have. We finish that with something else more. End of the day, can you get the job done here given to you? Do you understand the customers there in US, what they want? If you can get these 2 answers right, you're successful.
But doesn't that come with more global leadership and having distributed ability to move the kind of the customer roles here? KSV?
Let me replay it. Imagine this word, imagine this in 5 years hence from now, or 10 years hence from now. How does the global workforce looks like, right? It is transcending borders. It's going to be multiple languages, perhaps multiple religion, multiple culture. An ability of leader to work with multiple culture, multiple geography is what they are seeking for. Perhaps the future workforce, the digital, is lying in this room somewhere, some part of this country. Our ability of leaders to work with multiple culture in India is much stronger. That will help. Leverage that. Don't give a shape saying that global leadership. Ability to lead with multiple culture, multiple leadership, that is more important.
Absolutely.
It is a self-fulfilling prophecy that more global leadership role means you're doing well. Bull.
It's a controversial thing, and let's So, Yadhu, how are you looking at it from your organization? Are you looking
Yeah.
at it as an important
Yes.
thing to increase the share of leadership or not?
Absolutely, and I'm in the space that I work in. I'm an HR professional, and working with GCCs in the last couple of assignments and the current assignment. I think the HR professionals need to be advocates for for building global leadership team members in the GCCs. Empowering, creating the culture of empowerment, saying that yes, you are responsible for end-to-end accountability and delivery, and yes, you get that global exposure. You're coaching leaders to manage global teams, and like as we said, helping the leaders to get that confidence and trust that yes, you can manage global teams. I think that's so that coaching, mentoring, and putting them on that pedestal and say that yes, you can do it. I think that's the advocacy that HR professionals are doing and continue to do that as they build global leadership roles in GCCs.
I think, George, I'll come to you and ask you, what kind of the non-compromising skills that are required either as a GCC or as the C-suite advocacy as what we are talking about?
Sure. So we had a problem about 2 years ago. We were tasked with driving significant automation within the organization. And so straightforward challenge, and of course, we had been working in this company. Many of my leaders have been with the company for almost 2 decades. So we believe that we had the right skill set, the knowledge, the domain to basically go and tackle this problem. We started this problem, tackled it, and basically at the end of the first year, I came back and asked them basically on how far we had progressed. And we saw the results was something that they could have done in 5 minutes. They could have just gone back because all of them had teams that had, say, 500-700 people, and if I'd asked them to give me 5 names from each of their teams that we had to improve efficiency on, they would have figured that out. But with automation, we barely got it really moving at all. So that was year 1. We did the same thing. I said, okay, maybe they didn't have the right skill sets available, so I put a few more
Or
people
the
around
data
it.
set.
And we quickly realized that there is a big transition from what GCC leaders have done in the past to what is expected of us in the future. And so I think I have a lot of them sitting in the audience right now, and they all know that today the discussion is very different from what it was in the last 20 years. Because if you cannot understand technology, if you cannot understand what, say, Gen AI and LLMs can do for you, then you are in serious jeopardy, because we've run a pilot, and in 4 months, we've got results that have beaten what we've developed using ML for the last 5 years. So coming back to it, I think a key skill set is going to be able to relearn what you as a GCC leader is going to have to do. And technology, if it's not part of your repertoire, then you're in trouble.
Let me ask you a question, Priti, on the other side of it, right? Because historically, even on the partners, somebody signed global deal somewhere else in the world. And historically, the teams in India were told to deliver to it. But now, with the shifting responsibilities more to the India distributed decision making, as partner ecosystem, is there something you're doing differently in terms of grooming the skills that are required to advise and partner with the GCCs in India?
That's a great one. So, the Gen AI thing has been a very intense initiative for us. So we wanted to equip about 20,000 people in IBM to get Gen AI literate. I had to get a badge myself to the point that you said about skill sets becoming so important. So there was an intensity which was different to maybe the metaverse era or the robotic automation era or even the ESG era, right? So we had to use our digital learning infrastructure, which IBM is very well known for, and Lalitha, you know this. Learning is in the DNA of IBM. We set up the entire infrastructure for about 100,000 people through a hackathon to actually pick up the skills. And you won't believe the level of excitement that there was, that we ran out of GPU space and we had to convert that assessment into a video-based assessment, right? That was a fun fact about it. But I think the point about everybody from the CEO messaging that to the communications, the events and the carnivals that we did, the excitement that we created was to create, first of all, a talent pool that can serve our clients and the GCCs that we work with, right? and then to be able to give them the digital tools to be able to play around with the models, embrace these new ways. And what was really fascinating in all this is that chief privacy officer came and saw that everybody was playing around with these new toys in their own ways and actually exposing ourselves and our clients to risk. So that whole layer about understanding explainability in AI and how do we drive that as a ethos in our ecosystem came through that entire layering of governance that we did and the guardrails, which hopefully have helped us our clients scale Gen AI and transformation in a very meaningful enterprise scale way.
Perfect. So we've heard all the way from having the domain expertise requirements, Gen AI being completely a new thing to learn, to KSV's topic in terms of the culture and our ability to deal with multiple cultures being the differentiators that is going to set the next generation of the next set of GCC. So if audience have any questions, we have a few more minutes. We can take the questions. If not, I wanted to do a rapid fire with the panelists. Any questions in the audience?
Can't make out.
Everybody is sleeping. Okay, so while audience are thinking through the questions, as the GCCs continue to realign and the purpose and strategies for the changing enterprise business needs, I will say, what are the top 3 priorities that GCC should factor for? One word answers, if you can quickly go. Yadhu, we'll start with you.
Okay. I think 3 things that I would consider as priorities or 3 things that they need to focus is, one is constantly keep looking at the future skills, not the current skill sets, but the futures, invest continuously in future skills. The second one is relook at your org design, relook at your career architecture, because with whatever skills are coming, whatever new technologies are coming, you need to evolve talent along with that. So relook at your org design and your career architectures. The third is continue to focus on, enterprise-wide value creation. Are you solving enterprise-wide problems? Right.
Love the last one.
Yeah.
Of value creation is always the key. Kesri?
I think the leaders in India, GCC, should have more aspirations. Right? They seems to be very satisfied with what they're doing.
Oh, I thought it is the other way around. All my stakeholders tell me that you people are a complete ambitious bunch, Kesri.
No. Please don't get me wrong. I said leaders. The young boys and girls working under you are very ambitious. The leaders needs to have aspiration. They have to drive, I can deliver moon. Do that. That aspiration is missing.
We definitely have to learn from you on that. Sanjeev?
I think important thing is upskilling of your people. That is a important aspect if you're going to sustain in the future. The second thing is be part of the enterprise strategy. Don't be a captive center or the back end. And the third is, of course, how do you make the enterprise digital or the GCC digital? I think that's important. Embrace new technologies and bring the partner ecosystem to bring that and take up to the next level.
Priti?
Define purpose and decide what you want to do in-house and what you want to do with partners.
Absolutely. It's a well balance, isn't it? George, last but not least.
Gen AI. That's it. If you can get there,
Are you
you're
saying
done.
that because it is done by 3 AI?
No, absolutely not. It's because I've seen results that have blown my mind. And if you're not on that bandwagon, you're missing the boat.
Yeah. We have 1 minute. I know the bell is rung. Any one question from the audience?
Otherwise, you pick up Monica
Yeah.
to ask that question.
Yeah. We'll ask you otherwise.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Rohit. I've had a bit of experience, 20 years of experience in the service industry and now with the startup. While I'm on the other side of the startup, one of the valid points that you brought across today was they're great with technology and we're experimenting a lot with different use cases, but that's becoming the problem, right? While we are piloting, we're coming up with great use cases. It's all becoming free pilots. How do we change this? How can GCCs support the startups a little better, right? That we can coexist and grow together better.
Anyone wants to pick that up?
Are you asking the question to me? Looked at me, or?
Sure, anybody, please go ahead.
No, I'll put it this way. Good point you're making. This is what I have also proposed to in my conversation with Government of Karnataka. We just told them, create an use cases fund. Because GCs, just create some X crores, perhaps from a state priorities identified, this is the 20 areas on which I would love startups to come with. Pay for the use cases, co-fund the use cases money, together co-create and create it, right? That concept of co-creation in India is perhaps will take some more time, but it's on. For my opinion, to you as an advice, please don't do it free. They will come to you. Just stop giving free.
So, Lalitha, and whatever my experience has been, we have solutions, we try to find a problem to solve, for that solution. It's the other way around. I think we should define the entire problem, an end-to-end process to find a solution, and that's where the journey will take us to implement it fully and get the benefit full.
Absolutely.
Right. Just
With
not
that,
big part of the process.
Thank you so much. We are right on time. Thank you.
Thank you.